You're listening to Making Life Brighter, and I'm your host, Winifred Adams, and I just want to welcome everybody back. It's been a little while, and I want to say hello and hope you're going jolly out there. Boy, do we have a special guest today. This is actually a carryover from the Making Life Brighter radio show that is on the VoiceAmerica Variety Channel. And I just had our very special guest today on that. You'll have to go over there and check out the show because it was all about my favorite product that I've been telling you about for months, which is the flower essences. And if you've been listening to the December shows, you know that I've been talking and featuring them along with Lance's products and along with all different kinds of healing modalities and the stem cell patches and everything else. But the flower essences are a particular favorite of mine. And here today we have special guest and creator of those products, Mr. Steven Horne. Welcome back, Steven. Nice to have you.
Glad to be here.
We haven't seen each other in a while. So Steven was a teacher of mine. I taught for his institute way back, and I learned some of the fundamentals of my healing journey from him. And he is a tremendous, tremendous resource. He is a wonderful teacher. He's an incredible herbalist. And he's been the past president of the American Herbalist Guild, to be specific. He has, been representative across the world of his knowledge with herbology. So we were talking on the show on Making Life Brighter for the last hour about flower essences specifically. So you're going to have to check that out because it's fascinating. And he's really brought to light much of why he created these and how he did. But now I want to jump into and dive into not only a summary of the flower essences, Steven, but talk about what your next project is, because you're always busy, you're always writing and writing more books, but you're focusing on the strategies of health. And
well,
so
actually,
tell us,
that is a book I just recently released, like last year. And that book basically gets into the core of what I've learned, which I think is the most important thing. People have been conditioned to the idea that you treat a disease. So you get a disease name, okay, and you then base a protocol on the disease name. That's the way they do it in medicine, right? But a disease is basically just a collection of symptoms, okay? And it really isn't addressing why that's happening. And so what you wind up with, because you're dealing with treating the disease, it's no different than the idea of treating symptoms. You're trying to make this disease go away. You're trying to make the symptoms go away. But the disease is a part of what is going on in your life process. So I first learned this when I figured out that the reason why you get acute symptoms when you get a viral infection is because the symptoms are the responses of your immune system to try to get rid of the viral infection. So your nose runs, you may cough, you may have fever, but every single one of those things are created not by the disease, but they're created by your immune system trying to get rid of the disease. So everything you're doing to get rid of those symptoms, you're interfering with your body's trying to get well. And then I started to understand that was true of disease in general. And one of the best ways I can illustrate this is with the idea of caffeine. You know, we talk about caffeine giving you energy, caffeine, I mean, this is all over the place, right? You know, these energy, quote unquote, energy drinks, blah, 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 and so forth. But that is an example of exactly what you're doing treating a symptom, because caffeine doesn't give you energy. Right. It blocks the signal in your brain that tells you you're tired. So it blocks the message that says you're tired. So does that mean you're not tired? No, it means you don't get the message that you're tired. So you keep going, and then your adrenals kick in gear and start jacking your metabolism up to keep you going, which depletes your energy reserves and wears you out more. It's like your thing comes on that your cell phone battery is at 20%. So I shut off the message that my cell phone battery is getting low and keep discharging.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it,
Yes.
the answer to fatigue is rest. And anything other than rest is just a Band-Aid. But this is true of everything. I mean, why does your blood pressure rise? Because your heart's having difficulty getting blood to certain parts of your body. So it increases the pressure to try to get the blood there. What do you do when you lower the blood pressure? The heart goes, well, I got to back up here. When you've been taking caffeine, your body goes, oh, you're trying to trick me. And it builds more receptors in your brain for adenosine, the messenger that tells you you're tired. So it can work around the caffeine. Understand?
Amazing.
So that's why you keep having to take more and more to get an effect. Well, this is true of medications in general. What they're doing is they're interfering with the messaging systems of the body to stop you experiencing the symptoms, but it isn't fixing any of the reason why it's there in the first place. So you go in and you interfere with the signaling that's telling the blood pressure to raise, lower the blood pressure. Now the blood's not getting to the extremities of the body, and the body's going, wait a minute, and it starts to try to build a way around it. And this goes on and on with everything. And it's not that I think that symptomatic treatment is, evil. If a person's in pain, giving them something to relieve the pain until you can, do what you need to do to get them well is fine. If you're driving late at night and you need to help yourself stay awake so you don't get into an accident, okay, fine, caffeine's great. But it isn't fixing the problem. And that's my number one beef about our entire healing system, because even now in herbalism, the focus is on what is, quote, evidence-based medicine. But what do they mean by evidence-based medicine? It means they've done studies that have proven that this really helps relieve a particular disease condition. That's not herbalism.
Yeah.
Herbalism is all about helping the body to get back into balance, trying to figure out what's really going on with a person and help to get them back into balance. Emotions are part of that, which we talked about with the flower essence. I mean,
evidence-based medicine is becoming the go-to, just like Chat GPT, and you can look up anything that the internet might want to spit back at you in some format. But that speaks to one other thing.
Yeah.
Experience. The actual experience of something, not just the so-called evidence and the report of it, but the actual experience. So I think what you're talking about and getting to here is the idea of, there's symptomology, which is important, and it's the heads up. Hey, pay attention here and correct.
Something's wrong. You need to look at what's wrong. But to find out what's wrong, you need to examine what's happening in the person's life, because you're treating the person, not the disease.
Right. And it's not just a Google answer, is what I'm getting at.
No, it's not a Google answer, because you have to look at it holistically. When I'm talking with someone, I am taking into consideration, how are they eating? How are they sleeping? Are they drinking enough water? Are they eliminating properly? Have they been exposed to some kind of environmental toxin? Have they recently been under some horrific stress that's got them in a very disturbed mental and emotional state? Were they abused as a child? You know that almost every time I see someone who has a lot of health problems, I will bet you money that they were abused as a child. And I know a medical doctor, Dr. Hugo Rodia, who teaches at the University of Utah Medical College. He said that in front of a group of for a network marketing company once, and somebody complained and called him and complained about that. But he said, I've never seen anyone who had multiple diseases who wasn't abused as a child. They're suffering from unresolved trauma. You think that treating all their diseases is going to help them overcome the trauma in their soul and their spirit from being beaten as a child or sexually molested as a child? No, you've got to get in and help people. And this is
Yeah.
what's missing in our society. That's why I wrote Strategies for Health. It's kind of trying to make a bridge between where people are at, here's my disease, and saying, okay, there's your disease. Look underneath that at these things, and you may need to follow these strategies.
Well, I
You may,
remember you telling us in the first course that I ever took with you about feelings buried alive never die. And
right,
that book was instrumental, and actually kind of harder to find at the time, but it was instrumental showing some of the case histories maybe of people that you're talking about with those compounded symptomologies showing up and what is the problem there. But you're taking that a step further and saying, hey, look at these avenues. And what we were talking about on the radio show with the flower essences, that speaks to what you just said, because
yes.
many of those people, they don't know how to receive. So they, even if you did have a solution for them to begin to heal, they don't know how to receive. And the flower essences break that barrier. They break the ice for people to open a little easier, and maybe they can begin that healing journey.
Well, in my book, Strategies for Health, I talk about 4 main strategies. The first one is believe you can get well.
Love that.
Because if you don't believe you can get well, you won't do anything.
Yep.
Okay. The second one is, to examine your lifestyle. Okay. In other words, are you sleeping well? Are you under stress? Are you getting enough exercise? Are you eating a healthy diet? Look at what your lifestyle is. Okay. And then the third one is take some basic supplements. Maybe, a vitamin and mineral supplement, some fiber, just some essential fatty acids, some basic things that a lot of people in our society need. And the fourth one gets into balancing your biological terrain and strengthening your weak body systems, which is where most herbs and remedies come in, is to try to reduce the irritation in your body, i.e. the inflammation, or get things moving, or help your liver work better, those kinds of things. That's it. I don't sit there and think, okay, let's see, you've got this particular disease, we're going to treat it. I'm looking, well, how is your liver functioning? How is your internal organs functioning? What's your lifestyle going on? And I'm addressing that. And until I learned to do that, I got very haphazard results with this evidence-based approach.
Yeah. Amen.
This has been used for that, Well, if you look at it, it's based on a bell curve, right? So you give cinnamon to people for blood sugar. Okay, and you have a curve, and maybe 60 or 70% of the people who take cinnamon who have blood sugar problems get some improvement. Some get really good improvement, some a little improvement, and some none. Why?
Yeah. Well, you have to look at, why are you craving that, and then need the cinnamon to correct it.
Yeah, right? You got to look underneath that. Cinnamon is warming, it's drying, it's slightly astringent. So maybe you've got some leaky gut, you've got some, overgrowth, your intestines aren't moving very well, you need to be warmed up. It's working on something more than just bringing down blood sugar. It's rebalancing something in your body. And there's also Nepal, which is also used for blood sugar, but it's moistening and cooling.
Yeah. And this is so vital. What a great point, because I also want you to talk about the ginsengs, because people just take something. They go out, they buy something. Oh, this goes for this, but they don't understand what they're taking. And that may be the very opposite of what they actually need based on their body. But go ahead.
Well, yeah, like your American and Korean ginseng, the ginseng. When the Chinese found out that there was ginseng in America, they thought, oh, cool, we got a new source of ginseng, until they found out that it didn't work exactly the same way. American ginseng is more cooling. It's more of a digestive tonic. It's not as stimulating as the Korean ginseng. And even in the Orient, they understand that ginseng is a remedy primarily for elderly people whose metabolism is slow, who are weak, whose systems are starting to get sluggish, to perk them up, to get their metabolism going better. It's not something for teenagers to be taking to, like Red Bull, to try so that they can burn the midnight oil. that's not an appropriate way to be using herbs. That's why we've lost certain herbs like ephedra. Ephedra was being abused. It was being used as a stimulant instead of being used as part of a formula to clear up respiratory congestion, open the respiratory pathways. So you can abuse herbs. You can use them incorrectly. They're less damaging effects to using them incorrectly than there would if you use drugs incorrectly. Like I've told people, I've seen people taking 30 or 40 different herb and nutritional supplements a day. And I've said, okay, well, I don't think that's a good way to approach it, but I tell you, go to any drugstore and pick out 30 to 40 over-the-counter medications and take them every day.
Yeah, that may not be to your benefit either.
Listen, I think you probably would land in the hospital in a few days, and these people have been doing this for months and years. So the safety, the relative safety is a lot better, but there's a lack of intelligence of understanding how you look at the root causes and you base what you're doing on a strategy to fix the root causes.
Yeah, I love that. And, that speaks also to, again, going back to the flower essence talk we had. You were saying that your discovery of them was a spiritual journey and it brought you to that. Well, I kind of think that people today, even now, especially now, because people are waking up to these different remedies, they're waking up to healing in a way they never had before, but they are abusing natural resources as a quick fix for themselves instead of honoring the plants, honoring supplements, and not, oh, I can just go buy more. Oh, I can go get this thing at this. Well, what did COVID teach us? Maybe you can't just go buy more. Maybe it will stop in the supply chain. Maybe it won't be there tomorrow and you can't have it. So speak to the reverence of the plants, because I know that's near and dear to your heart.
Yeah, that's something that I've been more concerned about recently. Been writing a lot of articles. I put out an article every week on my website and been talking a lot about the plants in the wild, because native people understood this idea that everything that has life in it is something to be revered, to treat, with a sacred way. You don't just go out and just harvest every plant you've got. You selectively harvest so that there will be more plants for the future generations. This idea of thinking, how is this going to affect people 7 generations into the future? Not just what are we going to do now, not how is this going to affect our quarterly corporate profits?
Right.
How is this going to affect? And when you see some of the things going on in the world, like the recent chemical spill in Ohio, and I did a little research and I found a study at CDC over a 10-year period. They looked at 9 states over a 10-year period, 57,000 chemical accidents.
Wow.
In 9 states over a 10-year period.
That's extensive.
We're as the Native Americans, we're poisoning ourselves. We're poisoning our planet, poisoning ourselves, and we really need to get back to a reverence for nature, of treating animals properly.
Yeah.
Harvesting plants with the idea of sustainability for future generations, and learning to use remedies, with appropriate care. I heard once Native Americans said that if you approach the plants with reverence and ask for their help, then they will not only help heal your body, they'll help heal your soul.
I love that.
But
isn't that true?
If you just rip them out of the ground with no thought, they can help heal your body, but they're not going to help heal your soul.
Well,
that's where the flower essence comes in, because the flower essences are harvested in a way that honors the plants. And so you're getting the plant helping your soul, not just helping your body.
I feel that. I really feel that. I know other people do too, because it's instant. And I'm sorry, but Bach flower remedies are great, and flower essences in general are great, but your blends are, the ones you made for Nature Sunshine, are amazing. And they're just they're instant. I'm telling you, they're instant. It's just incredible what they do. So can't say enough about them. And anyone that's listened here on the Making Life Brighter YouTube channel knows we've been talking about them. So you can find out more about it by going back to the radio show or seeing the previous shows. This is very, very important. But let's talk a little bit about the big C word. And the C
All
word has
right.
affected our our planet the world over. But I
You
think
mean the new C word or the old C word?
yeah, right. Well, the new C word,
Okay. All right. Let's talk about the new C word.
the new C word, I think I experienced firsthand in February, along with a mycoplasmic pneumonia, along with that. And I was knocked out pretty hard. That took a month to heal. That was not fun, but it was probably some good downtime. I came out of that quickest at the end with a combination of astragalus and VSC, but astragalus primarily. And that was really interesting because, obviously it's an adaptogenic formula, but its property really seemed to cut whatever weird frequency was going on in me. And it was a weird frequency. It felt like it wasn't normal, like it was almost like synthetic, is the only way I can tell you. And somehow the astragalus had a bite to it that really kicked that off and gave me back my energy. And I know that other people around this area were also not feeling well, same sort of thing, and they just couldn't get out of it. But when you put the astragalus into it, it seemed to really help. Can you speak to that, maybe?
Well, I don't know specifically about astragalus, but I do know a lot of people who have used herbal remedies for the
Mm-hmm.
new C
Mm-hmm.
and very successfully. Um, uh, because what you want to understand is herbs are supporting your body's natural immune defenses and responses. They're not trying to directly kill a V.
Right.
Yeah, they're they're helping your body overcome it. And like I had one guy who came up and he had told me the recipe I've given for garlic lemonade, which I didn't come up with it. I got it from somebody else, where you take garlic with a lemon that the yellow has been taken off, but you leave the white and cut it up in a blender with some garlic and you put some honey and warm water and
Sounds
drink that
good.
every day. Yeah, he said that had kicked that out of a lot of people very quickly. I
With cayenne or without cayenne?
without cayenne, just the whole lemon with the yellow part taken off. You just peel the yellow part off and leave the white and cut it up in pieces and put a couple of cloves of garlic in there with some honey and water and blend it all up and then strain it and drink it. It tastes better than it sounds, but
No,
it's
that sounds
really good
great.
for clearing out the lungs. And another one of people I know had said yarrow really helped them, which
Sure.
but I think it a little depends on how your body's trying to fight it.
Hmm. Well,
Because
the sensation was so overwhelming. I mean, there was no, once you started to go down, boy, look out. You weren't coming up. You were going down. You just had to get ready for the
actually,
downhill.
I for a long time I knew it was real, but I don't ever worry about such things. I just try to take good care of my body and my immune system. But I did finally come down with it, and I actually got a prescription for ivermectin.
Yeah, I used that a little bit too. It didn't seem
But
to work as effectively, or the need for that didn't seem as strong. It's funny because when it first happened, I didn't test for anything. I thought, well, shoot, I got to find something here in this arsenal that will do this, and nothing tested. Like for a week and a half, my body said no, 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 no. Okay, so I just went through it. But after that, then it was ready, and yeah, I tried a little of the ivermectin, and for this particular set of symptoms, it wasn't the best. But I have heard and seen many people just throw that right out with that. It's wonderful. Hmm.
yeah. Well, and doing a little research, I think that uh, hydroxychloroquine originally comes from quinine.
Right.
So I actually have some cinchona bark extract now that I managed to pick up for future to try that. And as I
I
understand,
got tonic water.
well, yeah, I had tonic water too, and took it with the zinc because it helps the zinc get into the cells. It's a zinc ionospore, which means it pulls the zinc into the cell to inhibit viral replication.
Oh, I like that. Oh, that's good. We'll do that periodically anyway, right?
Yeah, right. And there are a number of zinc ionospores, and and then later I learned a really good one is quercetin.
Yeah.
Quercetin pulls it in. And also, I think that Sweet Annie, since ivermectin is an antiparasitic, I think Sweet Annie or wormwood would be herbal alternatives that would work, if that. But
Right.
here's the thing. It comes back to the basic thing that you're not treating the disease, you're treating the person. You're looking at how the illness is affecting the person, and you're supporting the parts of the body that need support to help the person. That's why I like muscle response testing if I can do it, is because I can, check which remedies are matching with what the person's body is asking for, rather than just guessing. Although
Right.
when I'm guessing, I'm really praying and asking God to guide me to find the right remedies for someone, because I really believe that we need to be more spiritually minded. We are too materialistic in the way we think. And I think we need to learn that there is more to the universe than the material, and that a great deal of what is happening to us, in this earth physically, and not just in our own bodies, but with society, is based on stuff that's really happening on another dimension that this is being reflected. We're in a battle right now.
Yeah, I know people say we're in the spiritual battle, and the one that you got warned about.
We are in a spiritual battle, and people are being polarized.
Mm-hmm. And they're being confused on purpose too. I mean, there isn't
like it's the parable of the wheat and tares. They're getting separated. Okay, people are getting polarized one side or another. And when you're talking about, sorry, what you said something and it triggered something, and I've lost my train of thought, but we'll get back to it. But yeah, I mean, it is a battle.
You're talking about treating the person, and there's a spiritual battle going on.
Yeah, there's a spiritual battle going on, and I had a comment on that, but it'll come back to me. But the spiritual battle that's happening is there are a lot of people who are waking up.
Mm-hmm.
They're realizing that things aren't right. That there are some pretty, nasty things that work in the world. And I remember, the idea of witchcraft, sorcery, okay, putting spells on people. Years ago, I read a book called The Plug-in Drug about television, that it's a hypnotic medium that basically puts you into a trance-like state, so you basically absorb all this information without rationally thinking about it. Right. And that people watch TV, they don't, it's not about the content, it's about watching the thing. Well, now I don't have mine sitting here, but the cell phone, you see everybody's like glued to their little cell phone, right? And there's a lot of stuff that you're programmed with, and people's brains are kind of intoxicated with all this stuff, because they take in and they assume that all this stuff is real. They don't question it.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that the new I was sitting here the whole time going, there's something very suspicious going on here, right from the very get-go of it.
Mm-hmm.
This
Mm-hmm.
is because If I came up with a recipe for depressing people's immune systems, isolating them from each other so they don't have human contact, having them wear a mask to breathe their own air and acidify their body because they're not getting enough oxygen to their system. And all the other thing, I mean, it's like literally you're bringing people's immune systems down with all of the quote unquote preventative things that you're doing. I see people, I remember going up into Cedar Breaks, over 10,000 feet, pine forest, walking on a trail there, someone's wearing a mask. And I'm thinking, you really, really think that you're going to catch an illness in a pine forest with essential oils wafting through the air everywhere and people like just walking down the trail? I went out on the Arizona Strip, one of the most uninhabited places in the entire continental United States. Go an hour drive on a dirt road to get to this little campsite. There's an outhouse there, and they've got the posters about staying 6 feet away. And there's nobody in sight anywhere. We're the only people there.
What is the lunacy of this?
During the hour we were there, I think 1 or 2 other cars drove by. But you have to stay 6 feet away out in the wilderness, right?
It's insanity. It's like, are you telling the bears and the deer, hey, you need to stay 6 feet away? And like, what about the trees? What are they saying about the masked walking? Can you imagine their conversation from on high? Okay, look, we got another one. Look at this one. I don't know what's wrong with them.
But it's a dearth of common sense.
Seriously.
An inability of people to think for themselves and think rationally, and it really is disturbing. I told people many times, I feel right now like I'm living in an insane asylum.
It's like the Truman Show, for real.
Yes, for real.
For real.
Like there's a whole bunch of things going on that just do not make any sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yet people adamantly are like, and it's not just that they have these beliefs, it's that they get angry if you don't agree with them.
Yeah.
Like, I've never felt like I needed to like force my opinion on someone else. You believe in orthodox medicine instead of natural medicine. Okay, it's your choice. It's your life, right? I'm not going to sit there and argue with you and tell you you're stupid or dumb. Do what you feel is best for yourself, right?
Yeah.
But it's like there's this lack of ability because of fear, right?
Yeah.
Because it's this gigantic fear mongering. And I figured out a long time ago that the reason why the media does so much to instill fear is because it helps control people. Because when people are afraid, their amygdala kicks in gear and their higher brain shuts down, and then they start absorbing whatever you're telling them without thinking about it.
Yeah.
And so it's really
through their heart and soul. And that's what people are.
Yeah. So they're just blindly swallowing it. And then because of their fear, they're going to be upset with anybody else who hasn't bought into the fear, right?
So true. It reminds me right now, and actually in the last year, I've even stepped back from some of the truther things because it became radicalized too. And it's just like, okay, that's enough of that. Like, okay, we have the information. We're just going to go back to peace now and put it through our heart and be in that peace space. But it was beginning to be like groups of starlings. You know how starlings go and they go, and then they move again and they come back through and they move again. It's like everyone moves according to the newest information on the phone, like a group of starlings, and that's sex.
Yes.
And they don't stop or hang, or they're not in linear motion like geese. They're just, moving all over, and the energy is moving around people, and they don't have any settling. There's no grounding.
Right. Well, and I feel like we're just I don't know. I literally have watched stuff that when I read 1984 in high school, I thought was stupid. I literally watch it happening. Things like doublethink, believing totally contradictory things, are true. Both of them are true. and all this other stuff that I thought that's silly. That could never happen. And I literally watching it happen. It's and I'm realizing people can be hypnotized into a state where they do not allow their own mind and heart to let them question what's going on. They just
they're moving.
And that, by the way, the distress remedy, the red clover in the distress remedy, is a specific remedy for that.
There you go, everybody. Everybody needs distress remedy.
Disconnect from the mob mentality. Disconnect from the mob mentality and be able to see things clearly for yourself.
Love that. That goes back to the flower essences.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were talking on the radio show about the inspiration behind that and the making of it and all the different ingredients and what they do. That is the difference between the Bach flower and the Nature Sunshine brand formula, because it helps you not be the sheep in the crowd and helps you stand out to think for yourself. And that's beautiful.
Yeah,
brilliant forethought. Brilliant. Really, on your part to bring that forward for people in the times that are, you developed this a while back and now here it is. And this is the time. And so people should use it. So the question is, can you take too much of the flower essences any given day?
No. Flower essences are vibrational remedies, and you really, the worst that can happen is nothing happens.
Okay.
My experience, take the wrong remedy, nothing happens. They really work best when you get a good match to what the imbalance is in the person, and it helps them break through the imbalance. If you're not blocked, the energy just flows through you. If you're blocked, it helps you break through the block.
Got it. That's a wonderful point. Yeah. We talked on the radio show about it, so y'all have to go over there and listen, because it was brilliant what he ran through on the show. And Steven is a walking encyclopedia of herbal knowledge and body system health, and he has a brilliant skill of taking all things that he observes or that come before him and putting it together to synthesize it into especially learning material, which is how I came upon him and how I got involved early on. So that's wonderful. He's an author, he's taught classes, but now you're promoting this book, Strategies for Health. So what else is happening in your business world? What are you doing?
Well, I'm working on a advanced herbal mentorship for Know Your Wellness in Nature. The class is started. I'm getting the modules ahead of the students, but it's an 11-month program getting into real depth with herbalism, and especially with single herb remedies. So I think it's going to be one of the most in-depth herb courses out there.
Is it online or is it only in person?
It's online. It's online.
And where
they were doing live classes until the new C came along, and then they had to switch to online because they couldn't go out and teach the live classes. So we're doing it online.
Goodness. Where do people find that?
knowyourwellness.org.
Okay.
And
as in KNO.
Yeah, KNO. Or if they go to stevenhorne.com, up on our banners that go, there's a link to that course there. And then I have a whole list of other books I want to write. I want to write a book about emotional healing. I want to write a book about the energetics of herbalism and aromatherapy. So those are my next 2 planned projects.
We can't wait. There'll be more out there. Love it. You've list off some of the books that you have written, because it's pretty
well. The
amazing.
Major books I have out there right now are The Modern Herbal Dispensatory, which I co-authored with Thomas Easley. And it is a medicine making guide, and it is the most popular medicine making guide out there right now. It's been doing really, really well. I'd like Strategies for Health to start doing as well. That's a almost 550-page guide to natural healing that basically introduces you to the whole natural health philosophy, and then it has like about 500 different ailments talks about, and then it has about over 300 herbs, essential oils, vitamins, minerals, amino acids, et cetera, in the thing. I have a book out there about called Let Freedom Ring, about the principles of our American Constitution. And then, like I said, the stuff I'm working on right now. So
Fantastic.
everything else right now is out of print.
Well,
we stopped printing and distributing things, and I'm just focusing on trying to write and create courses and stuff to teach people. So
well,
I'll be
fantastic.
69 in a couple of months. So
that's hard to believe. You don't look 69. It's hard to believe. That's incredible. Wow. Well, like I said, you are a walking library of information, and you've been an invaluable resource for so many people over time. This is incredible, and happy to have you on the show. Happy to have you here as an outtake, and appreciate the conversation and the candid conversation about things too. Now we need to get you up to speed on parse syntax grammar.
On what?
And parse syntax grammar, and securing your usuries in this world so that you are not left in the polarity fight. But we'll talk about that another day, and the capturing of the Title IV flag and so on. But
okay,
anyway.
I'll be anxious to hear about that, because I don't want to be part of the polarity.
Yeah,
I don't want to be
I
part of the fighting back and forth, because I would rather try to be a bridge for peace and love, and go above that. Because I had a message I had years ago. God said to me, everybody loves the people who think like they do, who agree with them. But where's the love that sees all mankind as your brothers and sisters?
Amen.
And that's what I try to live from, is to see everybody as my brothers and sisters. And if I can't have a calm, rational dialogue about something with people, I'd just rather just listen to what they have to say and not argue. Because fighting and calling each other names and putting each other down and saying you're stupid and is not getting us anywhere. And what you have is that the forces that are in the world that want to bring us down are the forces that try to polarize us, to get us arguing, fighting with each other, instead of caring for each other and loving each other and respecting our differences and respecting our opinions. And that's one of the things that I wrote the book Let Freedom Ring, is because it lays out my understanding of what I think where we really need to be if we want to live in peace with each other.
Yeah, I agree. For I concur. And the the parse syntax grammar is a state of neutrality, and they're aiming at keeping people not in neutrality, but very polarized.
Yes.
So that's, if they can do that, they basically own the narrative one way or the other.
Right.
And people's hearts don't lead the show, because mob mentality follows suit either side.
Right. And I learned long ago that they fund both sides of every fight.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, do they, right? Yeah. We'll have to have that conversation too someday.
Yes.
I have some things to add to that.
Which is why the real solutions never get talked about.
That's right. Well, yes, we'll catch up. I'll share that with you, and then
sounds good.
we can have some conversation.
Okay, sounds good.
Steven Horne, thank you for being here with us. And everybody, Strategies for Health, and you can go to stevenhorne.com, and you have to go back and listen to Making Life Brighter Radio.
And my books are available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, both of them. So
okay, perfect. Yes, so check it out on Amazon. You can go to his website, stevenhorne.com, and you can hear our flower essence talk previously, and you can get the flower essence at makinglifebrighter.com. Thank you for being with us, and thank you for sharing your expertise and all of your knowledge. Appreciate it and love these conversations. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you again for having me.
Yes. All right, everybody. You know the theme. Go jolly and go make somebody else's life brighter. Hey, you never know. Every second is worth it because you don't know when those seconds might come to a close. So live lovingly, live with joy. And like I said, go jolly.